Hello and welcome to another edition of Patriot Talk Radio. I'm your host, Sam Macbeth, and on today's show, we're going to take a look at the Ottawa Sooners game from this past Saturday. We're also going to have Coach Jerry Phillip, Hammer Award winner Cody Baxter, offensive lineman Antonio Lapien, linebacker Jesse Willick, and much, much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
The following presentation is brought to you by TV Tune, the proud makers of television's greatest hits. And now a word from our sponsors.
It's supposed to be a fun weekend on the water, but it could turn deadly. The sad truth is, in almost every boating fatality, the victims weren't wearing a life jacket. The water is still so cold. If you fall in without a life jacket, your chances of survival are low. Heading into Safe Boating Awareness Week, be aware. There are all kinds of great designs for wearable life jackets, but they can't help you if you don't put them on. Check out your options at smartboater.ca. Brought to you by the Canadian Safe Boating Council.
Hello and welcome back to the show. This past Saturday night, the Steel City Patriots traveled up the highway to Ottawa, Ontario, to Carleton University to take on the Ottawa Sooners in Northern Football Conference action. And in doing so, they defeated the Ottawa Sooners 21-0 in a great played game by both teams. The score is not indicative of what happened. And taking a look at the game recap, we're going to do that right now. The Steel City Patriots at the 3:23 mark scored a 33-yard touchdown when Josh Madden hit A.J. Jack for the touchdown, and Adam Pallett kicked the extra point to make it 7-0. We move on to the second quarter, where at the 7:37 mark, Adam Pallett kicked a 20-yard field goal to give the Steel City Patriots a 10-0 lead as they headed towards halftime. And then just 2.5 minutes later, punter Danny Mullins from the Ottawa Sooners conceded a safety to give the Patriots a 12-0 halftime lead. Going into the third quarter, at 8:19, Danny Mullins again conceded a safety on a punt situation as the Steel City Patriot defense kept Ottawa deep in their own zone for most of the game, and that made the score 14-0. And then with 3:53 left to go in the third quarter, running back Dan Seymour scored an 8-yard rushing TD, with Adam Pallett adding his 5th point of the night to make it 21-0, which was the final score. Next up, we've got the GTA All-Stars. That'll be coming up as the home opener on June the 8th. That'll be at Cardinal Newman at 6 p.m., and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a little while. But right now, let's take a look at some of the stats from the game. Looking at the offense first, quarterback Josh Madden went 9 for 19 for 159 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions in a great effort by the young second-year quarterback. In the rushing department, Dan Seymour, he rushed 13 times for 39 yards and a 1 TD, the 8-yard TD we talked about just a little earlier. And Stephen Smith, he rushed 8 times for 27 yards to give the Steel City Patriots a great 1-2 punch in the rushing game, and there's still a whole lot more to go with that rushing game. In the receiving department, it was A.J. Jack, who we talked to last week on the show. He had 5 receptions for 95 yards, including the 33-yard touchdown that we talked about. And also Garrett Daydecker, he had 2 receptions for 56 yards, as the Steel City Patriots had a fairly good offensive day with 159 yards in total receiving yards. Adam Pallett went 1 for 2 on field goals. He made his field goal from 20 yards to give the Patriots the 10-0 lead, but he missed from 41 yards, was just a little wide. and he was 2 for 2 on his point after attempts. Now we take a look at the defense, and it was Dustin Murray. He had 7 tackles to lead the way for the Steel City Patriots. Donovan Saunders had 2 tackles and 1 quarterback sack for the Patriots. Ice Savory, who we talked to last week, he had 4 tackles, and the team as a whole had 28 team tackles, 3 sacks of the quarterback, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery, which was by Swishton Spring, who we will be talking to in the coming weeks. So once again, the Steel City Patriots played themselves a great game, defeating the Ottawa Sooners 21-0. As I mentioned, next week it will be a bye week for the Steel City Patriots, as they have 2 weeks to prepare for the Canadian Championship finalists and NFC champions, the GTA All-Stars, who will be coming into Cardinal Newman on June the 8th at 6 p.m. to take on our Steel City Patriots. That's going to be a great game, so be sure and come on by. Tickets are just $10. The gates will open at 5 o'clock. Kickoff is at 6, and kids get in for free as long as they're with their parents. So it should be a good time, and we hope to see a lot of people in the stands. Coming up right after this, we're going to have a great interview for you with Coach Jerry Phillip. That'll be coming up right after this. You're listening to Patriot Talk Radio on Niagara Community Radio.
As police prepare to hit the water in full force this May 2-4 weekend, a Red Cross study shows that 37% of boaters in Canada drink alcohol every time they boat, and almost half of all boating fatalities are alcohol-related. If you drink and boat, you could lose your boating privileges. In Ontario, you could lose your driver's license for up to a year. See how alcohol really affects boaters. Check out the drinking and boating test at smartboater.ca. Brought to you by the Canadian Safe Boating Council.
Welcome back to the show. Coming up right now, we've got a great interview for you. Defensive back coach Jerry Phillip, former CFL player and assistant coach at Nelson High School. And we're going to talk a little bit about the game against the Ottawa Sooners last Saturday, which the Patriots won 21-0.
Is this, with all this noise, is it still okay?
Okay, with me now is assistant coach Jerry Phillip from the Steel City Patriots. And Coach Phillip, thanks for taking part in the show.
You're more than welcome, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Now, first off, let's talk about how you came to this team. Coach Emo is a coach at Northern High School in Burlington, and you're a coach there as well as Coach Jeff Brock, the offensive coordinator. How did that relationship get you to here?
Excellent question. The high school is actually Nelson in Burlington, and you're right. Emo, myself, and Brock do coach there. I met Coach Brock through the Burlington Stampede program. As a result of that, back in 2011, he asked me to come on board and help work with the defensive backs and with the defense. I've been doing it since. Coach Emo came on board a couple years ago. That's how I met Barry. Barry, in turn, asked both Brock and myself to work with him here with this particular program. And we've jumped on it. We think it's an excellent opportunity. Great group of guys, great organization, and we expect to do good things.
Now, you come with a very extensive resume. You've played at a very high level. You played in the CFL with the Edmonton Eskimos. How has that experience as a player helped you as a coach?
You know what? It was an excellent experience. Coming out of university when I got drafted out of York and went to Edmonton and played there, I played with some really iconic players. Larry Highbaugh, Dan Kepley, Tommy Towns, you name it, Brian Kelly. And it really showed me what a professional organization is supposed to look like and the expectations of the players as it relates to the organization. It's not about individuals, it's about a team. It's about working together, pulling together, working through the same agenda, trying to get to the same goals. And as a result, I feel that's helped me, now that I'm coaching young men, to help them better, achieve their goals and get to results that the organization is trying to achieve, as well as me personally, which is to win a championship.
Now, the Steel City Patriots are a team that's trying to model itself as a CFL type team. We supply equipment. We have an extensive coaching staff. We have trainers. We have people in the booth. All that stuff. Do you feel that helps a program such as SCP's, where it's a working man's league and a lot of people can't make practices all the time? But do you feel that the way this team is run, it compensates in a small way for those necessary absences?
You know what? I think Phil Cosentini, the owner of the team, has done an excellent job. There aren't a lot of programs where you get, for the price that is being paid by the players, to get the treatment that they get, to get the support that they get, to get the equipment that they get, to get the fields that they get. We're practicing on turf fields. So the organization itself is gearing itself to be more professional, more like a professional team in the CFL. I think the coaches feel that we have the players and the talent to deliver that type of a product, a more professional product in this league, and we think we can be champions. So, yeah, from an organizational perspective, they're doing a lot of the right things.
Now, last week you played against the Ottawa Sooners, won 21-0. You had one interception, you had a forced fumble, which was recovered, and the team played fairly well. Was there anything that you feel that you can pick up on to improve as we take on the league champions next year, next week, the GTA All-Stars?
There's lots that we can improve. It was the first game of the season. And truth be told, for the first game to come out and win 21-0, to not give up any points defensively, I'm very excited by that. Obviously, the offense did what they had to do and scored 3 touchdowns, so we're ecstatic. Great start to the season. Having said that, it's just the start to the season. GTA is an excellent organization. They have been perennial champions. We expect that to win a championship, we're going to have to go through them. And there's no doubt in my mind there's lots to tidy up and lots to improve on. But we feel we can get it done.
Now, last year, speaking of the 21-0 victory this past week, last season we had a 22.5 quarter run where nobody scored on us. Do you think that a situation such as that and the starting off with no points against us this week could possibly get the team a little complacent?
Absolutely not. I mean, our goal as a defense is to not allow any points in any game at any time. So this is commonplace for us. This is normal. This is the expectation. We will not become complacent as a result. This is standard for us. When we allow people to score, we're not happy. And we always want to be happy. So, no, complacency will not set in. Not on the defense, not on the offense, not with this organization.
Well, thank you very much for taking some time. This has been Coach Jerry Phillips with the Steel City Patriots, and we're going to be back in just a couple moments. You're listening to Patriot Talk Radio.
I look for cars. I pay attention. I should have seen the little girl in the crosswalk.
Please, look for pedestrians. Stop for them. Think of the impact you could make. A message from the Federal Highway Administration.
Hello and welcome back to Patriots Talk Radio. I'm your host, Sam Macbeth. And we're going to take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard right now. In out-of-town action, it was the Northern Football Conference champion GTA All-Stars traveling to Cambridge and defeating the Tri-City Outlaws 28-7. Oakville traveled up the highway to Sudbury to take on the Sudbury Spartans, but were defeated 35-26 in a hard-fought game. And Sarnia played host to the Sault Ste. Marie Steelers and shut them out 36-0. Coming up right after this, we're going to have another great interview for you. You're listening to Patriots Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Sam Macbeth. We'll be right back.
Are you a fan of 90s alternative music? If so, check out Christian B's 90s Rush, a new show every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. only on Niagara Community Radio.
With me now is offensive player Antonio Lepian. And Antonio, welcome and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
First off, before we get to the football end of it, you've had an addition to the family, in addition to our family. Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, it's great, man. Having my first son, it's just a blessing. Someone can pass on my knowledge of sport, and it's just great, great, and just full of energy.
Congratulations on it from all of us. Now, how did you become a Steel City Patriot, and how has the experience been so far?
To be honest, one of my employees worked for me, Brett Warner, good dude, good guy, and said, hey, I heard you had a football background, and we have a team, and last year, 2018, was my first year coming out, and the experience of the coaching staff, the experience of some of the players was just a wonderful, wonderful thing, and I bought into the system right away, and the team accepted me, and I stepped up into a role that was new to me. I was a left tackle, but I moved to left guard, and I accepted it well, and I was up for the challenge.
Now, you said you changed positions from tackle to guard. Has that been an ongoing process, or is this something you picked on fairly quickly?
I picked up very quickly with the help of all the coaching staff, with Coach Kirk being there to be a little bug in my ear and make sure that I do my job and know the difference between tackle and guards. You're not on an island. You're eating up space inside, and just it was a lot of help, and it got me the right way.
Great. Now, last week the team played against the Ottawa Sooners and won 21-0. How did you feel that the game went?
For the first game of the season that we're hitting against another team, it was great. Everybody's a little bit sore. Everybody's a little bit beat up because that's what you want to have in a game. And being the first game of the season, it was awesome. It was a great experience to have. Especially a good team like Ottawa who came into us last year, and we still got the win with some great help on defense. But I was ready for it. The team was ready for it. We were all hyping each other up, and it was an exciting experience to win. Get the W out there.
Now, coming up in 2 weeks, on June the 8th, you take on the GTA All-Stars, which is the league champions. How do you prepare for a team like that, and what goes into the process?
A lot of mental reps, a lot of game film, which we're glad to have today. Just knowing your job, knowing your role, knowing the players beside you are there to do their job, and everybody coming together as a unit will help out immensely. Just getting a lot of mental reps, a lot of preparation, a lot of listening, a lot of knowledge learning with coaching, and just asking the questions you need to ask at the right times. Just prepare yourself for a big battle that's going to happen.
Now, we played GTA twice. We play Ottawa one more time. Do you feel the experience of the game we've played Ottawa now will help us as when we play them at home later in the season?
It doesn't hurt. I just want all of us to get overexcited, cocky with a 21 win first week. It doesn't mean anything if you can't execute and win the second game of the season against them. It's a home and away situation, which is awesome. But the only reason why I don't like playing two teams twice in a row is because if you win the first game, chances are some of the teammates might take a play off or might feel as if a little bit conceited in it, and I'm hoping that this team is humble enough, which we are, and hungry enough to know that no team is worth overlooking.
Now, you were here last year. We went 7-1, plus we went too deep in the playoffs. Do you find the team has improved over last year? Have we stayed the same? And what do you attribute to the change?
Absolutely, picking up a good wide receiver like Achilles Jack, picking up some good O linemen, some good D linemen, some good pieces here and there to make this team over the top has been exciting, has been great, has been not challenging in the sense of gelling. We've all gelled together, we've all been professional in what we're doing, and it just helps us to get over the level and make it a great opportunity for all of us to have.
Well, thanks for taking some time for us, Antonio, and I look forward to talking to you later in the season. This has been Antonio Lepian, and we'll be back with more Patriots Talk Radio right after this.
Hi, everybody. Joe Crawford here with you, inviting you to join me every Friday night here on Niagara Community Radio for our Friday night dance party. Every Friday night from 10 p.m. to midnight, no matter how hard or easy of a work week you've had, listen to us. Get your Friday night moves and grooves on and join us, will ya? Now, you can be a part of our Friday night dance party, especially if you email us info@joecrawfordlive.com for any tunes you want to hear. Could be rap, country, oldies, soft rock, hip-hop, top 40, you name it, we play it. It's your Friday night dance party every Friday night, 10 p.m. to midnight, here on Niagara Community Radio.
With me now is a running back, Dan Seymour. And Dan, thanks for coming on the show.
It's all good. What's up, boss?
Last week you guys went to Ottawa and took on a very game Ottawa Sooners team and defeated them 21-0. The running game was fairly strong. What do you attribute to the improvement over last year? We had a good running game, but this year it seems to be a little stronger.
I think it's the depth of the offensive line. Last year we had a lot of young guys. They were good, but they didn't have a lot of experience in those certain situations. The guys this year, they all move like a big unit, and as long as they keep doing what we're doing, we should have the number one rushing game in this league this year.
Now, this year we have Thomas Corneal, who played last year in Tri-City as a fullback. Is that a help to you as a big beast opening up the holes for you, or are you still looking for your own holes with the style that you use?
Come on now, man. That guy's a monster. I consider myself big, and he makes me feel small. So it's always good to have a bulldozer in front of you creating these big crevices, because everybody likes holes, but he doesn't make holes. He makes, seams. So I love having the big guy around.
Now, next up for the Patriots is the GTA All-Stars, a nemesis of ours since our existence, and they are the league champions this year. How are you looking at that game, and are you hoping to get a lot of touches, or do you like the ball being spread around a little bit?
Well, with GTA, I played with them before, so I kind of understand the concept they move on. They move as a unit. So if you mess up and you have one aspect of your game that's off, they're going to take advantage of it, and they're going to dig you apart. So our best bet is to completely spread it around. Yes, I'd love the run. I love running. I love running into things. It's what I do. But at the end of the day, if we pass it, it's going to make the run open up. So I think we should pass more, to tell you the truth.
Okay, great. You were here last year, and this year we've added a lot more coaches, including CFL legend Neil Lumsden, who is a running backs coach. Is he helping you with your game? Because you have a fairly, very strong game as it is. Is he helping you tweak it a little bit and get you to a higher level?
Yeah, for sure, because I haven't been coached properly, technically, in probably over 10 years. So having that coach behind you, that running back coach who's always on your ass, make sure when you're not doing the things right, he's on you, and when you're doing the things right, he gives you a pat on the back. That's rare. I've been used to just doing it myself because, like you said, I'm pretty skilled at what I do, but there's always room for improvement.
Now, just before I let you go, it's an 8-week season plus playoffs. What is your goal for the regular season? Do you have set goals? You want to rush for 1,000, you want to rush for 800, you want 10 touchdowns. Do you have goals, or do you just take it one game at a time?
No, all my running backs to have the equal amount of points as me and the equal amount of touches as me. That's my goal. At the end of the day, I'm on my way out of this league, and these guys are just starting it. So my best bet is to, feed and fuel the newcomers as much as I can, because this got to keep going on and on when I'm gone. So my biggest goal is to help these guys get better by the end of the year.
Now, you mentioned that you are a veteran. Are you helping out the backs in a small way, giving them a little tip here and there, telling them what could work and what couldn't work and what to try?
I basically tell them what didn't work for me, and they should know not to do the things that didn't work for me. I don't really like giving advice because everybody has a specific running style. I can't tell a fast guy to run through a big dude. He's just not going to want to do it. So I try to tell them the things that I've attempted and make them try to pick apart what I've done and then adapt it to their game as much as possible. So I do give pointers, but I try not to dictate anybody's specific running style.
Now, just before I let you go, how would you describe your running style? Would you consider yourself what they call, quote, a scat back? Would you consider yourself a guy who likes to go in the hole, a combination thereof, a hybrid?
Well, I love to hit, so I love going in between the tackles. The inside runs are my favorite. Kind of can't stand tosses. I'll deal with whatever comes, but I'm an inside bruiser. That's what I like to do. I like to make the linebackers soft by the end of the game, so then when the scat backs do come in, they get their 80 yards and get their touchdowns off the hop.
Well, thanks for taking some time for us, This is Daniel Seymour, the tailback for the Steel City Patriots, and you're listening to Patriot Talk Radio, and we'll be back right after this.
That was some party, thanks to my buddy's beer and joint. Here's the keys, joint.
Yo, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, beer?
Oh, since we had that talk, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs.
I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too.
How are we getting home, then?
Come on, Dave. Take one for the team.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
A message from Mad Canada.
Next up, I've got Jordan Fryer making his way over to say hello. And Jordan, thanks for taking part in the show tonight. You guys took on the Ottawa Sooners last week. What is your take on the game?
I think that we played extremely well, considering the weather conditions. Our defense was solid, keeping them no scores, which was amazing. Offensively, of course, it was our first game, so we had a little bit of trouble getting started, getting the fit up that we needed. But by the second half, we were just rolling, and it was incredible. Small things that we got to work on, like offside, stupid penalties and stuff like that, but that will come. And I'm excited to see where this team's going to go and how we're going to progress into the future.
Now, I was looking at the stat sheet, and the quarterback, Josh Madden, went 9 for 19 for 159 yards and no interceptions. Would that be attributed to the offensive line giving him the time to do what he needs to do so the receivers can run their routes, running backs can do their blocks or do their carries?
Well, when you ask an offensive lineman a question like that, of course the answer is going to be yes. But what I will say is offensively and the offensive line, we worked really well and we made our blocks. We made the right reads that we needed to do. We did have a little bit of trouble with blitzes. However, we were making the adjustments. We've talked about it. We've seen it on film. We're going to have the adjustments, and we're going to be able to stop it. And we're going to be 19 for 19. And Josh Madden's going to have 300 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. And that's just the way it's going to be because offensively, we're a machine.
Now, this year, Paul Schering, who is a coach for the team on the offensive line, has come out of retirement and joined you on the offensive line. Has that been a steadying influence to the team, and how has that helped out the line?
I see it as a large morale boost for the line because you have someone with so much experience stepping back in, and the other thing is he's also able to coach us through showing us. Having Coach Paul down on the line is amazing. I think it's great because you have all that experience down there in the line. He's showing a lot of the guys that are a little inexperienced a lot of different things, showing us different moves, different pass sets, and he just plays old school smash mouth football, and I love it.
Now, next up for the team is the GTA All-Stars, the league champions, and went to the national championship and lost to a very strong Alberta team. How do you prepare for a team like that?
Same way I prepare for any team. Just keep my head up, keep my mouth shut, pay attention at practice, and make sure that you're at practice because the only way we can be successful is to practice and to be successful, come together as a team. Although they are the defending champions, they're no better than any other team in this league, and I'm not going to treat them any better than any other team in this league.
Well, thanks for taking some time for us, and I look forward to talking to you later on in the season. And you're listening to Patriot Talk Radio. We'll be back right after this.
June 5th is Camp Day at Tim Hortons, when 100% of the proceeds from your coffee purchases help send kids from disadvantaged circumstances to Tim Hortons Foundation camps.
At camp, I learned that my circumstances don't define me.
At camp, my counselors encouraged me to be the first in my family to apply to university.
At camp, I realized that I could change my story.
June 5th is Camp Day at Tim Hortons. Buy a coffee, change a life. At participating Tim Hortons.
Welcome back to the show, and now it is time to take a look at the community calendar sponsored by Tim Hortons Children's Foundation. And coming up this coming Wednesday, June the 5th, from 9 until 12 noon, the Steel City Patriots will be appearing at 2 locations of Tim Hortons. The first being the original store. We will have Steve Johnson and Cody Adams at that location. They'll be there from 9 to 12 serving coffee and working the drive-through, so be sure and drop on by, say hello. You'll be able to get an autograph if you wish. And at our second location, which will be the Barton and Lottridge location, just down the street from Tim Hortons Field, we will have Cam Tabola, Paul Schering, and myself will be there. We'll be joined by Deputy Doodle, and we'll be there to serve coffee and sign autographs as well. And also, don't forget that there will be lots of games and prizes and lots of fun to be had at all locations. So be sure and drop by, because every nickel from every coffee that is bought goes directly to Tim Horton Children's Foundation and the Tim Horton camps. And also be sure and get your bracelets at the stores as well. They come in multitude of colors, including red. So be sure and get your red bracelet and wear it to the game on June the 8th when we take on the league champion GTA All-Stars. Coming up after this, we've got some more action for you. We're going to take a look at the schedule for this coming week, June the 1st, which is a bye week for the Patriots. That's coming up next. You're listening to Patriot Talk Radio on Niagara Community Radio.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these brief words from our sponsors.
Bud Light presents Real American Heroes.
Real American Heroes.
Today, we salute you, Mr. Pro Wrestling Wardrobe Designer.
Mr. Pro Wrestling Wardrobe Designer.
While lesser designers would shy away from putting 300-pound men in spandex, you embrace it.
Yes, you do.
Pushing fashion to its limits, literally, you pair tights with a cape, a leotard with a mask, leather boots with a thong.
Oh, looking good.
All understated ways of saying, I'm going to rip your head off and look fabulous doing it. So crack open an ice cold Bud Light, Mr. Pro Wrestling Wardrobe Guy, because without you, a man crushing another man's head in his arms would just look silly.
Mr. Pro Wrestling Wardrobe Design.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Right now, we're going to take a look at the out-of-town schedule for Week 2. Remember, the Steel City Patriots have the week off. These games will be played on Saturday, June the 1st. And we have Sault Ste. Marie traveling to Oakville to take on the Oakville Longhorns at Broady Field. That game will be at 6 p.m. Note the start time, 6 p.m. at Bronte. The Sarnia Imperials, coming off their win last week, will be traveling to Chinquacousy Park in Brampton to take on the GTA All-Stars in a rematch of the league championship from 2018. That game will be going at 7 p.m. in Brampton. Our third game of the week will be the Tri-City Outlaws. They'll be traveling up the highway to Ottawa, Ontario, to Carleton University to take on the Ottawa Sooners. That game will be at 7 p.m. at Carleton University. And our final game, the North Bay Bulldogs open up their season having the bye last week, and they travel down the highway to Sudbury to take on the Sudbury Spartans. That game will be at James Jerome Field, and note the kickoff time, 7:15. So if you're in Oakville, Brampton, Ottawa, or Sudbury or the area, be sure and drop by and support your local team. You're going to see some great football action, as only the Northern Football Conference can provide.
I walk and you drive. So let's make a deal. I'll watch for you and cross the street safely. You watch for me and stop. Think of the impact we can make.
A message from the Federal Highway Administration.
Next up with an update, we've got offensive line coach and offensive lineman Paul Schering. And Paul, welcome back. Usually I don't do somebody this soon, but we have such a unique situation. We have to do the update. First off, thanks for doing the show again.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for having me back.
Now, it's been such a long time since we talked, and and as we mentioned your last time out, you have stepped back onto the field. Now you've had your first game against the Ottawa Sooners. You've got some practices under your belt. How are you feeling?
I feel great, actually. I certainly don't feel the 40 years old that I am. It's been about 5 years since I stepped onto the field last. I didn't play much this last game, but honestly, that's exactly where I want to be. I want to be out there to help guide the young guys on the field. They're the future of SCP. They're the ones that are going to be getting us this championship this year.
Now, the score was 21-0, but that's not indicative of how the game went. It was a good game, but it was not the game that we wanted. Are there some things that could be improved on the offensive line?
Oh, certainly. Game one's always tough. Offense is always the longest to get together. Defense is very reactionary. Offense, you're planning, bringing together multiple facets of the game. Offensive line, receivers, running backs, as well as the quarterbacks. There's so many moving parts within an offense. It takes a little bit of time to get things going.
Now, you've taken off the coach's hat temporarily and cut back a little bit. How has it been learning a playbook again? Has it come to you naturally, or has it been an ongoing process?
I think life is an ongoing learning process. It's funny, I was thinking about it today, back in university, sitting in a film session. I always used to look at what my position was and what my individual role was on each play. And, looking at other positions, I would know roughly what they were doing, but, technique-wise, individually what they were doing on those plays, I didn't focus on. Now that I've been, experienced in the coaching ranks, I'm looking at a play from multiple angles. I'm looking at it as a whole. In playing, I'm finding that that's helping me. I'm looking at all the 5 guys on the field, offensive line-wise. When I'm in, I'm helping them. I'm pointing them out what's going on, whereas I know where they're at. They're looking at themselves individually.
That's a great outlook on the position, and that's something that the listeners can pick up on. Is something that I was taught when I played, and it was know your position, but also know what the guys on either side of you are doing, and that way you're not running into each other. You're not doing things that are going to hurt the other guy and hurt the play.
That's right. In addition to obviously being in the right spot at the right times, it helps the individual player. If you know what's going on with the other positions, the likelihood of the coaching staff putting you into those positions is higher. Everybody wants to play, everybody wants to be on the field, but you've got to put that knowledgeable time in, right? You've got to be prepared upstairs as well as physically.
Now, we have a huge roster. We were 60 strong going to Ottawa. Has that been an issue for the coaching staff?
It's an issue that I think every coaching staff in this league would like to have. It's been an amazing year. I believe we've got almost 70 on the full roster. We dressed 58 in Ottawa. I've been on teams where we've dressed less than 20 players in this league, and I think a lot of the teams here are in that same position.
Now, you were saying that sometimes we've had small teams. Like last year, we played a couple of teams that had very small but very game teams. Do you have a lot more respect for those teams, for those players that come out in spite of the fact they know they're going to get stomped?
I have respect for the individual players, and of course I've got respect for the individual organizations fielding a team under such stressful conditions of not having the player roster that you would actually like to have. But being as part of the executive and the recruiting team here at SCP, I can see the steps that a team can and should take to avoid that. There's no reason that a team should be scrambling in April looking to get a 40-man roster. We began recruiting as soon as our season ended last year. We look at football as a year-round proposition. This isn't just summer football. Let's start it up when the green starts growing.
Now, just before I let you go, Josh Madden went 9 for 19, 159 yards, no interceptions, and basically the running game was fairly well as well. Do you attribute that to everybody doing their job, or do you attribute it to the offensive line doing their job? And the rest just kind of falls into place, or?
Football's a 12-man sport here in Canada, Sam. If you've only got 11 players playing and one guy taking a play off, you're going to lose every time. We just finished our film session here with the offense, and we picked it apart. We had no problem looking at each individual player that wasn't doing their job on plays, taking plays off, and calling them out on it. We're here to make each other better. In terms of how good the offense plays, it needs all 12 of us. Coach Brock's done an amazing job using the assistants to coordinate everybody here, and I think as we approach game 2, it's just going to get better.
And that's the game that everyone kind of looks forward to. We love them all, but this is a game that we really look forward to against the league champion GTA All-Stars. Are you looking forward to playing them? And is it something that you circle on your calendar, or is it just another opponent?
Sam, well, this will be my 11th year playing in the NFC. Unfortunately, it would be my first time playing the GTA All-Stars. I've played against the Toronto Mad Dogs, the Mega City Mad Dogs, the Toronto Raiders, all of the other incarnations of the Toronto teams. This would be my first time playing the GTA All-Stars.
Well, thanks for taking a few minutes for us, and I look forward to watching you play the rest of the season. Congratulations on the comeback. I think you did a very good job last week, and much health to you and the rest of your offensive line.
Thanks, Sam. Look forward to talking to you again.
That is Paul Schering, offensive lineman for the Steel City Patriots, and we'll be back with our community calendar and our information on Camp Day right after this.
Why was that driver in such a hurry? He was looking for other cars as he turned the corner. He wasn't looking for my mom in the crosswalk. I really miss her.
Please, look for pedestrians. Stop for them. Think of the impact you could make. A message from the Federal Highway Administration.
With me now is Hammer Award winner for Game 1, Cody Baxter. Cody, thanks for taking part in the show.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Now, last week we played against the Ottawa Sooners, a game in which we won 21-0. What do you attribute to the 21-0? Was it an all-around game? Was one factor of the game more strong than the other? What was your impression of the game as a whole?
Honestly, I'm really happy with the way we did things with defense. I really believe everybody on the line, the guy that you work with, our linebacker core, our DBs as well, did great with coverage. It's good to know that anyone that's out there beside you, you can trust every snap of the ball.
You had a couple of tackles during the game, and you played a fairly strong game. Did you find something that you can work on maybe through the film session that we're at during this interview? Is there something that you noticed that you can improve on? Do the coaches coach you up during the game to improve as you fly?
Absolutely. One of the things that they were telling me is maybe on a pass play to line up a little wider so I can get up the field quicker and get the hands off the offender, the tackle. And another thing I'd like to work on too is maybe come up the field with a stronger rip, get the hands off faster instead of waiting after my second step.
Coming up next, we've got league champion GTA All-Stars on June the 8th at home. How do you feel playing at home against the league champions? Is that something you thrive on, or is that something it's just another opponent and you're going to work as hard as you can?
I'm very excited to have our first home game against GTA. It's going to show, with them being the champions in the past year, it's going to show where we stand as well as a team. But as you mentioned, it's another team, and we're going to thrive off that, make the plays that we can, and then have film, and then fix what we can on the way.
Now, before I let you go, it's an 8-week season. Last year we went 7-1, and we had 2 games in the playoffs. We lost the semifinal. Do you find that the season was a success in your eyes, or do you feel that it was a good season?
I feel it was a great season, especially from the previous years. We've made a big difference out on the field. We have brought in new guys to make a difference as well. Very excited about that. So we still have the strong team from last year, but also great assets coming in as well.
Well, thank you for taking some time. You won the Hammer Award this week. Congratulations. And I look forward to talking to you again. This has been Cody Baxter, Hammer Award winner for the Ottawa Sooners Game 1. And you're listening to Patriot Talk Radio, and we'll be back right after this.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Ed's Eat All You Want and Not Give a Damn Anymore Weight Control Center. The last resort for lifelong hefties who are sick of diets and exercise and want to start enjoying themselves for a change.
With me now is Jesse Willick. And Jesse, congratulations on the victory against the Ottawa Sooners, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, last week you played against the Ottawa Sooners, as I mentioned, and the team won 21-0, and you contributed an interception. Tell us a little bit about that play.
Well, I was reading the play. I stepped up to my read step, looked back, saw it was a pass, turned around, got in my hook to curl. I noticed I saw the slot receiver do a hook, so I just jumped on it as fast as I could, took a look back, and there was a ball right there in my hands.
Now, you're a veteran on the defense with this team. Have you seen the defense grow as a group over the course of your time here at SCP?
Yeah, every year it gets better and better. Guys that stay around get more comfortable with each other, and the defense gets stronger and stronger with better players coming in, and younger guys to help the rotation and keep the older guys a little bit fresh when they get a break here and there.
Now, as I mentioned, you had an interception, plus the defense had a forced fumble, which was recovered by the defense. Is there something that you feel that the defense can improve on over the course of the season to increase those stats and keep the score at a minimum?
Oh, of course. There's always need for improvement. There's always need for guys to get better footwork, get in their position and spots better, and get better in the coverage game and also the run game. We could always be doing more to help the offense get back on the field as fast as possible.
Well, one more question before I let you go. Next week is the GTA All-Stars, the league champions. How do you approach a team like that as opposed to, say, a team like the Oakville Longhorns, who were perennial champions, but at this moment are a rebuilding type team? Do you do anything different?
You just got to be perfect in every snap and every play. You got to respect the defending champions. They're 4-time repeating champions right now, and you got to respect them, and you have to be on your best the whole time during the game, or they'll bite you in the ass real quick.
Well, thank you for taking some time. This is Jesse Willick, linebacker for the Steel City Patriots, and you're listening to Patriot Talk Radio.
Yeah, I'll get it. Every so often, an opportunity comes along that is truly once in a lifetime.
Sign here, please?
Yeah, sure. The Fine Print Mint proudly introduces the American Bimbo Collection.
Oh, great. Marla Maples.
Each month, you'll receive a classic American Bimbo, lovingly handcrafted by the artisans of the Fine Print Mint. There's Jessica Hahn, Donna Rice, Robin Gibbons, Rob Lowe, even Ted Kennedy. And each bimbo is crafted from material as cheap and tacky as they are.
Look, Dad! Her head was hollow!
Collect them, swap them, put them on a pedestal, and then knock them off. Your family will spend hours admiring the amazingly accurate detail on each and every bimbo.
Look at the bongos on that one, son.
And if you act now, we'll rush you the complete Steve Garvey collection, including all his illegitimate children. To order, send your check to 12 Easy Pieces, Post Office Box T&A, Jigglemore, Colorado, for the American Bimbo Collection.
Great set! Hi, Dad!
Right now, we're going to take a look at the Steel City Patriot season schedule for 2019. We have an 8-game season, and as you know, we just played the Ottawa Sooners this past Saturday, and we defeated Ottawa 21-0. Coming up next, we've got a bye week this Saturday, June the 1st, and then next week, June the 8th, the GTA All-Stars, the league champions who defeated the Patriots last year 41-7, they will be coming into town, and the Steel City Patriots will have revenge on their mind and looking to get their victory over GTA. Then on June the 15th, the Sudbury Spartans come in. Last year, SCP went to Sudbury and defeated them 29-0. En route to a 7-1 season. and playoff berth, and a semifinal loss to Sarnia, which ended our season. On June 22nd, we'll be traveling to Bronny Field in Oakville, and hopefully we will have a big contingent of Steel City Patriot fans coming with us as we take on the Oakville Longhorns, our area rivals. They've had a great team for a long, long time, but right now are in a rebuilding mode, and the Steel City Patriots defeated them last year 45-0. On the 29th, we'll be we'll be going to Sarnia and taking on the league finalist Sarnia Imperials in a game against another very, very strong team, and a team we just love to bang helmets with, and should be a really good game. Again, that's a close game. We hope to have a good number of fans come with us to that game as well and help support the Northern Football Conference teams. Then on July 6th, we travel to Brampton, to Chinquacusi Park, and we take on the league champion GTA All-Stars in the second game of that home and home over the course of the season. That'll be July the 6th, and that game will be at 7 p.m. On July 13th, Ottawa will make the trip into Stony Creek to Cardinal Newman Stadium to take us on in the second game of the season, and they'll be having revenge on their minds as they travel in to take us on. Our final regular season game is against a very, very close rival, the Tri-City Outlaws. Last year, the Patriots managed to defeat the Tri-City Outlaws 21-7 at Rogers Park in Cambridge, and again, they will be coming in to see us at Cardinal Newman Stadium. So our home dates for next season, for this season coming, are June the 8th versus GTA, June the 15th versus Sudbury, July 13th against the Ottawa Sooners, and finally July the 20th against the Tri-City Outlaws. So be sure and get your tickets to any of those games. Tickets are just $10 at the gate, and kids get in for free. There'll be a lot of things going on there, and a great, great brand of football as only the Steel City Patriots can provide. And coming up after this, we're going to do one more final look at the week, and then we will wrap things up. You're listening to Power Hit Radio, and this is Patriot Talk Radio on Niagara Community Radio.
If you would like to catch up on past shows, please visit Mixcloud at www.mixcloud.com and search for Niagara Community Radio and see our archives.
Hello and welcome back. We're going to wrap things up for another week, and we're just going to take a look at some of the stars and stats from the week. We've already done a preview of the stats back at the beginning of the show, but right now we're going to acknowledge some of the players and what they did for the game this week. First off, we're going to start off with the offense, as the Steel City Patriots won 21-0. On offense, it was Josh Madden who went 9 for 19 for 159 yards, no interceptions. Dan Seymour, who was on the show today, he rushed for 39 yards and 1 touchdown on 13 carries. Stefan Smith, he rushed for 27 yards on 8 carries. In the receiving corps, it was Archelaus Jack, AJ Jack, who had 95 yards in receptions on 5 receptions, including a 33-yard touchdown pass from Josh Madden. And in the field goal department, it was a 20-yard field goal by Adam Pallett that rounded out the scoring for the offense. The Steel City Patriots had a bunch of penalties, a lot of offside penalties, which could be attributed to first time playing together for the season, that sort of thing. And that is something that is being worked on each and every week and will improve as time goes along. The Patriots also had 9 first downs and punted 6 times with about a 41-yard average. The Patriots had 3 kickoffs. One was 46 yards, 45 yards, and 47 yards, so an average of 46 yards on the day. In the return game, it was Donovan Saunders returning punts for the team. He had 3 returns, one for 12 yards and one for 31 yards, and another one in which he didn't get any gain at all. In kickoff returns, it was Thomas Cornell with a 22-yard return. Donovan Saunders had a 34-yard return. And A.J. Jack returned 2, one for 4 yards and one for 10 yards. And now we're going to take a look at the defense as we continue looking at the game versus the Ottawa Sooners. And in that game, there was 28 team tackles, with Dustin Murray leading the way with 7 tackles. Jesse Willick, as I mentioned earlier, had the interception, and Swishton Spring, he had 1 forced fumble. He recovered the fumble but didn't get any gain on it. Had a tackle and a tackle for a loss. Also, we have, finally, Cody Baxter, who had 2 tackles and played a very, very solid game at the defense. And he is a fine player and was worthy of the Hammer Award. Next week, we will take a look at the week that is coming, the GTA All-Stars. We'll have some great guests. We're going to look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We're going to look at the schedule for the following week. Plus, I'll have lots of great guests and a whole lot more. Coming back after this, we're going to wrap things up. You're listening to Power Hit Radio, and this is Patriot Talk Radio on Niagara Community Radio.
Say, are you a paranoid schizophrenic with delusions of grandeur? Of course you are. So put down that bottle of Thorazine and listen to me. Crapco is back with the amazing USFL-approved Crapco Home Psychiatrist from Crapco. If you're mentally sick and tired of paying top dollar to some fancy-smancy, hoity-toity, overpriced, intellectual snob with a German accent, then stop sniveling and whining like the helpless weasel you are and send for the Crapco Home Psychiatrist today. You get this beautiful inflatable designer couch. Lie down. Isn't it comfortable? Of course it is. Then simply flick on the patented Crapco Freud-O-Matic tape player and start spilling your guts. It actually listens and responds. Listen.
Uh-huh, I see. Yes, please go on.
Isn't that amazing?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think you should order the amazing Crapco Home Psychiatrist today. Just send $29.99, $95.99 to Crapco before midnight and commit yourself before someone else does. Yes, therapy at just pennies a session. Get one for your dog, too. The amazing Crapco Home Psychiatrist. Remember, at Crapco, we always say, if you buy this, you'll buy anything.
Welcome back. Well, we've come to the end of another edition of Patriot Talk Radio. I hope you enjoyed the show. I want to thank Coach Jerry Phillip, on offensive lineman Antonio Lepian, Jordan Fryer, linebacker Jesse Willick, Hammer Award winner Cody Baxter, running back Dan Seymour, and offensive line coach Paul Schering for joining me on the show. As I said earlier, we will have a good show next week as we preview the game against the GTA All-Stars. That'll be coming up next Friday. But right now, stay tuned. We've got a great show for you coming right up. It's Friday Night Party with Joe Crawford. That'll be coming up next. And I want to say one more time, if you are in the areas for the games this weekend, be sure and drop by and support your local semi-pro football team and youth football as well. Thank you. Take care. See you next week. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Niagara Community Radio.